I'm going to introduce our first speaker, who is Gavin Willis. And he's joining us today from Brighton, I think. He is the founder and MD of a company called Search 7. And they are an award-winning, purpose-driven search engine optimization agency. And what's really interesting and cool about them is that they pledge 7% of profits to charity. So Gavin is going to talk to us about the difference that makes to the charities that they support, and also the difference that that makes to his company, and I think to him on a personal level as well. So really looking forward to this. Everyone, please welcome Gavin.
So yeah, thanks Meg for the introduction. So today I'm going to be talking to you about the purpose-driven side to running a business. To give you a bit of background about us, as Meg says, we are a search marketing agency. So we're called Search 7. So the search side of that is the search engine marketing, so the paid media, the SEO, the analytics, all the things that kind of underpin a really great digital marketing strategy. But we are very niche in what we do. So those are the only things we do. We don't do things like web design, social media, email marketing. It's purely paid media and SEO really. But anyway, I'm not here to talk to you about all those lovely acronyms like SEO and CRO and PPC. It's all about the 7 side of Search 7. And as Meg said, it's about the 7% pledge that we put in since day one that has kind of snowballed really year on year into creating this amazing kind of S7 event side of the business, which has just done some great things for charities. So that's what I'm going to be talking to you about today. It's all about the purpose-driven side of the business. So every story has a beginning, middle and end. So even though our story hasn't ended just yet, and hopefully it won't for quite some time, I'm going to talk to you a bit more about how Search 7 started and all the things we've been doing over the years to have a really meaningful impact on our community. So the business started in 2011. Before that, I was at a company called PropellerNet, a fantastic agency in Brighton, which you may have heard of. They are just winning awards every year for doing fantastic stuff for their people culture, also for their clients, which are some of the biggest brands around. So I had some really good grounding there for 5 years, working with some amazing people, and the stuff that they do and they continue to do is really great. So a lot of my best friends are still there as the MD and kind of senior people in the team that I still bounce a lot of ideas off, and they've really helped Search 7 and me personally to grow over the last 8 or 9 years. So it came to a point where I was managing the smallest team out of 3 at PropellerNet, and they were kind of being elbowed out the door because they were a bit too small, but they weren't going anywhere. So it was a good opportunity for me to say, well, I can manage them and I can talk to them, I can do all the commercials and new business. So I started, with permission from Jim and Jacques, the owners, I started picking up a bit of work on the side, and before I knew it, it was going really well, and they were just the ones that were being let go by PropellerNet really. So it got to a point where I was then moved from 3 teams down into 2, and I was part of another team. And it just kind of presented itself as an opportunity, which was bittersweet because I really love it there and it was great there. And they didn't want me to go, but I thought I could actually do something here where I could create my own kind of thing. I had no idea that it would turn into an agency, and I did exactly that. So I had about 4 clients from day one. And I wanted to just make sure that what it was all about was about purpose, and it was about making a difference. So as Meg said earlier, that 7% pledge, it was put in place literally on the first day in April. I said, right, I'm going to use Search 7 as a vehicle to make a difference, and 7% of our profits are going to go back to charity each and every year. So straight away, I had that drive and that motivation to make sure that what we're doing is all about engagement. It's about meeting charities, getting involved in their events, and basically giving back and making a difference. Because I don't know about you, but at the moment, having a really big purpose in your life and your work is so important. So I wanted that from day one. So I'll talk about lockdown and stuff we've been doing a bit later on. So that was how it kind of started. And in 2011, in November, we then made the company limited. So for me, that's the official birthday of Search 7. So we went into 2012 and we were putting our logo on football kits, and we were getting involved in events and quizzes, but we weren't hosting our own events. At the end of 2012, a bit of a story was that my godson Ted was in the Royal Sussex, and he he was born, and he was in hospital for 2 weeks because he scored 0 on the AGPAR scale, which is when they test your brain capacity. So it was really touch and go. And a few weeks later, they said, "Gav, we want you to be Ted's godfather." And it was a really special moment. I said, right, Rocking Horse, Trevor Mann Baby Unit, that is my flagship charity for Search 7. So since 2012, for the end of 2012, they've been our flagship charity, and they have been ever since. So yeah, that was a really personal moment for me, and that's really given me that extra drive and kind of push really to grow the business and to keep supporting the Rocking Horse. So we went into 2013, more events where we got involved in, and we started doing more Rocking Horse runs, half marathons in Brighton, in London, quiz nights. But again, it was all just getting involved in other people's events. And then 2014 came along. And for me, this was a big year. So I decided I love meeting people. I love just chatting to people and getting to know them, and got a lot of good friends and got clients that I know really well at that point. So I thought, right, we're going to host our own event. So we did our first ever event. We called it the S7 Ted's Trophy. The trophy's behind me, by the way. I'll put it there just for today. And we had a football match at Shoreham Football Club. We had 250 people there. We had 20 raffle prizes. We had all these yellow T-shirts made up for all the volunteers on the day. It was absolutely brilliant. And I couldn't believe it. I thought we'd raise a couple of grand, and we raised £5,500. And it was just brilliant. And for me, that day was right. This is the start of something special. And I called it S7 Events. I mean, I kind of call it that externally sometimes, but internally, it's that division of the company that it's not what we get paid to do, and it's all profits go to charity. Actually, everything goes to charity. And that was the first year, really, where it all kind of started. So from there, things started to build. So in 2015, we did a golf day. We also done a digital marketing workshop, which was down in Brighton. And it was the first day of Brighton Fringe. So we actually had the Spiegel tent, the first year that they had 2 tents. They always had one on the old Steen, and there was another one that year, which was on the Pebbles down by the pier. And we actually opened the Brighton Fringe that year, which was in 2015. And we had 65 charities, some really big international ones, some local ones that came along, and we gave them a whole day of just free advice. So not only were we doing sporting events, but we were doing charity events, which was giving back really good thought leadership and ideas. We had Google that came along. And we had Avert, big charity based in Brighton, one of our clients, still a client today. We had some partners that came along in web design, and Grant Jennings was there as well, who you mentioned earlier, Meg. And it was just a great day. And it was the advice we gave, and we were talking about Google Ad grants, where charities can get $10,000 a month to spend for free from Google. And it was weird because that day, I think 5 charities out of 65 put their hand up saying that they actually heard of that. So we kind of made them aware of this amazing opportunity to use this free media spend to make a difference to their websites, to their audiences. So it was a really good event. And then we kind of went into 2016 and 2017, really, doing some more events, golf days, quiz nights, building up momentum. And then for me, so this is the turning point. So I guess the middle section of our journey, so to speak, is we were approaching 2018. And at that point, we was doing all this work and all this fundraising, and we was only a team of 3. So it's a tiny team, and we're still only a team of 6 today. So we're not that big a team, really. And we were moving office to an office twice our size. We were getting 2 more people on board in January in 2018. And I thought, right, 2018, that means we're going to turn 7. Search 7, okay, well, we need to do something pretty special. And we announced a campaign called Share 7, and that was to try and match our 6 years of fundraising, where we raised £17,000, and try and match that in 1 year. So we then launched Share 7. We had 3 events. We had a football match at the Amex Stadium, where we hired the whole stadium. We had the pitch. We had 400 people there coming to watch. We had match ball sponsors, event sponsors, we had kit sponsors, the lot. So we started to raise our game in terms of what we can do around fundraising to get more sponsorship involved. It was a great event, and we raised £8,000, which was just unbelievable. And to this day, I mean, one of my 2 biggest highlights, I think, is walking out on that pitch with my godson Ted, because all the stuff that he went through and being Rocking Horse as our main charity, and it was just really, really special. And for me, I'm never going to forget that. So when people talk to me about Search 7 and the stuff that I'm really proud of, it's a lot of it is the really special moments we've created through our events, which is just incredible, because I never thought that would happen when we started the business. So yeah, that year, off the back of the Amex game, we then had another golf day, and we ended with a quiz night. And we set a really ambitious target. And I say to everyone, just set ambitious targets, because they're there to be hit. If you set a target that's low, you're going to hit that target. If you're going to set an ambitious target that's really high, it will make you kind of work for that. And having that drive and that determination to hit an ambitious target, you'll be surprised what you can actually achieve. And come November in 2018, we actually raised £20,000 that year, which was absolutely incredible. And even though I'm saying about ambitious targets, I didn't think we'd surpass it. I thought we might hit it, but we actually surpassed it and raised £20,000, which was absolutely brilliant. That same year, we got awarded the Best Corporate Fundraiser Award at the Barbers, so we actually won that, which was amazing. And what we found is that we were really upping our game in terms of our designs, the way we were promoting our events, and it was becoming like a full-time job for me. Like half of my job in terms of engagement and new business and partnership was around our events. I was telling our clients about it, I was telling our partners. It was a way to create conversations and engagement. So without realizing it, and this is what I spoke about at the Brighton Chamber event a couple of years ago when I was on the panel at the big debate, was that you don't give back once you've done well in business. You kind of, if you make that there built into your DNA from day one, you can do some amazing things. So it's not about, oh, okay, what am I going to get back from helping a charity? What am I going to get from it? It's not about that. It's about what you can give. And that was my main kind of points I was getting across at the chamber. But yeah, that year was absolutely amazing. And to win that award, it kind of felt as if there was a turning point at Search 7, because for years, it was all word of mouth recommendations, which, as we all know, is the number one. It's the best because it's free, right? But for us, we kind of got to a point where we started getting a bit of reputation for our events. We started getting a bit more raised profile. And that wasn't there for about 5 or 6 years. It really wasn't. And we wasn't really pushing it, to be fair. And then we started getting more inquiries. We had a front cover feature on the Sussex Business Times in 2018 as well, which my good friend Sam Thomas, who's the owner of SBT, he's been amazing for us. So we started building up these partnerships, these relationships with people, and that's what it's all about. I mean, partnerships and relationships is just the key to everything. If you can build up great networks, such as Megan marked it earlier, 800 people as part of this network is fantastic. And you're there to lean on each other and help each other out and to promote each other's work and kind of be ambassadors for each other's brands, which I think is really important. So yeah, the end of that year was pretty amazing. We'd grown from 3 to 5 people. We'd moved to a new office. We'd done this huge event. We started to raise our profile. We won an award. It was just an incredible year. And then in 2019, the thing I didn't mention there, and Dan reminded me earlier actually, is that he said about me and my wife, he saw a video of us dancing over in Uganda. I'm glad you said that, Mark, because it's not in my notes at all here. But one of our charities that we've supported is a little community in Uganda called Nkaringo. So it's in Bwindi by the Bwindi forest. So we went over there at the end of 2017, I think it was. And we sponsored two kids in the school. We've been sponsoring him for both of them for 5 years now. And we went to the village. We donated a water tank, and we kind of paid for a lot of the kids to have lots of food and drink and everything and all their stuff for the whole year. And when we turned up, we didn't realise this, but the whole school were there to meet us, as Dan saw in the video, and to do all these dancing. And it went on for about an hour. We just sat there on these chairs, felt like royalty, and it was just absolutely amazing. And you think, wow, this has all come from us doing stuff for charity, building up relationships, making the effort to go over on a holiday and go and visit the school and the whole community. I said earlier about the 2 big highlights for me. So not only walking out with Ted at the Amex stadium, but being in Uganda and having that reception and meeting all the kids in the village in Nkaringo was just, I was absolutely speechless. I ended up taking all my Arsenal shirts. Yes, I'm an Arsenal fan. To all the kids, And there's a place called Top of the World. It's the second highest part of Uganda in Nikaringa. And we actually had a football match there, which I didn't know we were actually going to do until I arrived. And everyone was there, all dancing and cheering behind the goals. And there wasn't proper goal posts. It was like stringers to the crossbar. And these moments are just things that all come from being purpose-driven, wanting to do good things. And the memories that leaves me with and makes me, one day I'll look back at Search 7 and I'll be thinking back about, it was good fun and we had some great clients, good partnerships. But it's the stuff that we've done where we've had an impact on charities and on communities, not just locally and nationally, but around the world. So that's always going to stick with me. So where are we now? So we're kind of coming up to 2020 in terms of my story. Not obviously we are in 2020. So we had another Amex game in 2019 and another quiz night. And the thing I didn't mention is that we actually won another award, which was the CSR Excellence Award at the Barbers in 2019. So we kind of won back-to-back awards for our kind of corporate fundraising and our CSR efforts, which being a tiny team, we're not even a small business, we're kind of a micro business really, being below 10 or below 5. So it was pretty cool. And I also got shortlisted in the top 3 for Business Person of the Year last year, which was a bit crazy, especially when you're up against the owner of Ridgeview Wine and Gary Peters from Love Local Jobs. It was such an honour. So it was a really, really big year. And the other thing we've done last year, before I move on to what we're up to at the moment, which is this thing behind me, is that one of our charities from the Share 7 campaign is RISE. So it's the domestic abuse charity based in Brighton, and got such a great relationship with those guys. I love them to bits, and what they do is so great. They do this superheroes run on the Hove Seafront every year. I don't know if you've heard of it, but when all the kids, I can see Sue nodding. I can see because they get all the kids dressing up in their outfits, and they got adults run as well. It's a 5K and a 10K run. So I entered it last year. I actually dressed up in all Search 7 colours, all purple and gold. It's a bit weird. But I came up with an idea to kind of call it Superheroes Rise Up. So I said, why don't you, because I'm used to doing all the fundraising and how to raise money, doing different things like whole sponsorship. I said, yeah, thanks Meg for sharing that. I said, why don't you do something where you have the kilometre markers as big banners and you get companies to pay you money and it gets their superhero in their brand colours. He's like, wow, that's a great idea. So last year they done that. We had these massive banners. We actually had number 7, which was great. And that's why I dressed up. I actually dressed up as my character. And they raised, I think, around £4,000 from that. And it's something that they wanted to do again this year, but obviously it's been postponed. But that's something that they absolutely loved, and they're going to keep that going year on year, and also going into other events as well. So I just love chatting to charities where I can help come up with new ideas for them. And I've met so many charities this year on Zoom and in face-to-face where I just love giving ideas. So anything that I've learned over the years of doing our own fundraising events and how to create more sponsorship, I just want to chat to people and give as much advice as possible, really. So here we are, 2020, and behind me is this lovely poster which you can see, this big banner, which brings us to our new campaign. And this is another really special campaign. And the guys in the office are like, oh no, here goes Gav. He's got another really grand idea. So basically, at the end of 2019, we had raised £51,000 for charity over the first 8 years of business. And I said, right, end of 2021 marks our 10 years. We need to do something pretty special to try and end our 10 years on a high. So we had the Share 7 campaign. I was like, okay, share 77K, let's raise £77,000 by the end of 2021. Which meant £26,000 to be raised in 2020 and 2021. So we launched this campaign the same week in March as everything kicked off with the whole pandemic. So in terms of timing, it was such a blow because all the charities we were chatting to were saying everything's falling on deaf ears. No one's really sponsoring the charities or giving us their support at the moment. Everyone's trying to obviously protect their businesses. So to get money out of these corporate fundraisers who normally kind of donate money during such a tough time, it's obviously going to be really hard, and it was. So we launched the campaign and soon had to change a lot of our events because the golf club wasn't open, we couldn't do a quiz night. So we kind of had to adapt pretty quick. So we've done a lockdown quiz within 2 weeks of lockdown. which raised £800 for charity. And this was an unofficial Share 77K quiz. We had 60 teams sign up, which was just unbelievable. And it was like a 3-week turnaround in terms of promotion. And we also done this thing on LinkedIn, which I'm sure Dan's probably seen it if he's seen me dancing with my wife in Uganda on the LinkedIn video. But it was called the Corporate Charity Rally. And it was just a bit of fun. It was literally me hitting a tennis ball and tagging a few friends on LinkedIn saying, we're raising money for the Share 77 campaign. Let's keep this rally going. And you ask them to tag people and so forth. And that was great. It went a little bit viral and it got loads of people involved. And I think that raised around £600, which was just superb. People chucking in £5, £20, £30, which was great. And the other thing we've done this year is we managed to start our campaign off officially by doing a golf day in October, which was absolutely brilliant. And we actually had 25 teams sign up, and this is 25 teams of 4 people in each team. But last minute, we had to bring that down to 18 teams due to the COVID restrictions. And we had to have different people starting at different times and coming into the rooms at different times to try and make sure we do things the right way. And I thought, okay, you'll probably raise a couple of grand, and it raised £6,000. And I was blown away by that. So we're currently at £58,000 so far, £19,000 left to go. And yeah, so the end of the year, we've got a quiz night on December the 7th, which please feel free to get involved. It's a free quiz. It's a Monday evening. It's going to be an awesome charity raffle. I mean, Ridgeview are putting in some amazing prizes, wine tasting tour, a big bottle of one of their sparkling wines, and prizes for the winners as well. So if you want to get involved, follow us on Twitter or LinkedIn. All the details are on there. And it brings me on to next year, really, just to kind of end my talk for today. We've got another quiz night. We're hoping to do a big football match at the Amex, fingers crossed. Although if it's not there, we might try and get somewhere else. And there's another event which we're going to do, which is going to be brand new for us, and that's going to be a ping pong battle. So if you've seen the film Dodgeball, it's literally going to be like Dodgeball. So we're going to get every team with their own colour headbands. There'll be a bar, there'll be a DJ. It's going to be awesome. So I'm really hoping we can do that. It'll probably be later in the year, but keep an eye out for that. That's going to be great fun. So that's the story of our kind of charity fundraising and what we've done over the last 8 years, what we're kind of doing at the moment. The thing to mention about the current campaign, the Share 77K, is that we've chosen 10 charities to support, and everyone in the team has their own charity that they've chosen that is close to their hearts. And to get the team involved, everyone that joins Search 7, they get match funding £250 in their first year. So if they want to do any event or a marathon or bake a cake or anything they want to do, we will price match £250 in their first year, and £150 ongoing. So we really want to get everyone part of what we're about, be part of our ethos. It's built into our DNA. And when people join, we really want them to be on board with our values, really, because it really means a lot. Other things to mention is that, you don't have to be a big business to make a big difference. And that really is a key message from me, because I hope that we're kind of testament to that, because we've never really been above 6 people, but we're still managing to do some great things. And it's building every year, and I'm really proud of what we've achieved. And it's all about engagement. It's kind of getting your partners and your clients along and your community, and every charity that we support, we give them a platform to have a voice. So they come to the events, they stand up, they have a few minutes to talk about them and how everyone can help them. And I think that really resonates. It's that personal feel. And that's what we want to do, is create these really good experiences where anyone can come along. And I won't lie, in hindsight, this is a big part of our business strategy now. It helps retain and helps attract new members of the team and clients and partners. But I never thought that was going to be the case. It never was the plan, but it just happens to help out. So when 9 out of 10 businesses fail in their first 2 years, because why would you commit profit away? Surely you want to keep hold of that. But I like to think that what we've kind of proved is that you can put purpose at the heart of what you do and still be very, very successful. So every year we've kind of grown in terms of revenue and profit. Well, apart from this year, so it's all part of that. So if you do things right and from the heart and have that purpose and drive, you really can achieve some amazing things. Other things to mention is that we've actually got a charity referral fee. So most companies have referral fees which they put in place. ours is a charity referral fee, and it's actually increasing from 7% to 10% next year. And we're actually opening this up to everyone, not just partners that normally refer work our way, but to clients, to the team, to anyone really. And it's 7% going back to them for all revenues. It's not just project work, it's everything for life. And 3% goes to a charity of their choice. So pretty much everything we do kind of comes back to our charity ethos and what else can we do to work some form of charity fundraising into all of our initiatives. So that's it for me. I think I've spoken for at least 20 minutes or so. So sorry, Meg, if I've overrun a little bit, but I hope you enjoyed. That's our story so far. And I welcome any questions.
That's fantastic, Gavin. What a series of amazing stories. Thank you so much for that. We will welcome questions from anybody, but I have a question to start us off with, if that's okay. So for those who on here, or anyone who's watching the recording on YouTube afterwards, because don't forget all of these are on the Worthing Digital YouTube channel. For those who want to start or to increase their collaboration with charities and to create a business model based on putting purpose before profit, what would be your kind of top tip to give people who are looking to do that?
Yeah, good question. I guess for me, the top tip is choose something that's really close to you, that's really personal, because that will give you that extra drive. So everyone, either personally themselves or someone that they know, has been impacted by something in their lives, and they kind of then have a charity that they're supporting. So through personal connections, I'd say, what can you do to help out that charity that's helped you and helped your friends and your family? And then build up a relationship with them. So get to know people that work there, the corporate fundraisers team, people that are in the kind of fundraising team in general, and just start understanding a bit more about them and how you can help. Start getting some ideas together of what you can do. And then one thing for me is that, it is quite easy to hand over a check or give some money, but for me, what I found really pivotal was that moment when we started doing our own events, because that really kind of made me feel as if, wow, we're doing something pretty special here. But I think that comes in time. I think you start by choosing the right charity and why you want to support them, building up those relationships, and then seeing how things progress after that.
Great, thanks. Anyone else have a question? Just raise your hand or just unmute yourself and just ask it. Dan?
Gavin, that's quite tremendous, by the way. I'm a little bit in awe. You've got to pick one thing, right, that will your crowning moment. What is it?
I think it's walking out at the Amex Stadium for the first time with Ted, because I think it kind of made me realise that we've put something pretty special together, and that for me was, I'm kind of getting a bit emotional talking about it, Dan. Thanks, mate. But it was great. For me, I always think back to that, and there's so many great pictures from that night, and it was really good. So yeah, for me, that is the crowning moment.
Can I ask you conversely, what's been the worst?
Oh, the worst. Oh my God, it's such a roller coaster running an agency, I tell you. But the worst, we did have a client that went into liquidation, and they owed us £20,000 from all the work we did, and we never got that back. So that was literally about 3 years into us starting up. So it was a big chunk of money, and that really set us back a little bit. But yeah, that for us was not a nice moment.
Yeah, I feel your pain on that.
Penelope.
Yep. Hiya. I'm also in awe with you. I've worked in a lot of charities, and what you have done is the absolute dream for a charity, to have somebody working for them. Do your staff members also pick who they work for, which charities they go for? I mean, or do you all decide together and do just one?
No,
at a
yes,
time?
good question actually, because it helps me clarify who we choose actually. So we've always worked with Rocking Horse as our flagship charity, but during the Share 7 and now the Share 77 campaign, everyone else in the team has actually chosen their own charity, so they can choose whoever they want, and we will then support that charity. And also when someone joins, they choose their charity that they want to support, and we will then support them with the match funding as well. So for that, with the current campaign, I think if we were to raise £77,000 by the end of next year, we would have then achieved £50,000 for Rocking Horse, which would be just incredible. Yes. And then the other charities, because I think at the moment 50% of the Share 77 campaign is roughly to Rocking Horse, and the other 50% is shared between the other 9 charities. So the flagship charity is the one we want to try and hit that 50k for, and we're trying to raise an extra £1,000 or so for the other charities as well. So yeah, but everyone gets to choose their own charity. There's no kind of encouragement on the way they should go with that, with who they choose.
Yeah, I think that's great team building as well. It's fantastic.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Hi, Gav. I just wondered how you keep putting your goals for what you're raising up, which is incredible. How do you also grow your community at the same rate to enable the donations to keep coming? Because when you fundraise personally, you kind of go out to the same network and people are kind of like having to give their money again. How do you keep that so big that that's not a problem?
You know what, that's such a good point actually, Rach, because with that, I mean, we've been lucky. We've had some really good supporters and companies and people that get involved in our events, but they're always the same people, but you want to kind of grow on that if you can. So what we've done this year, we've actually chosen 10 partners to be our Share 77k partners. So we've got our design agency called Me and You in Seven Oaks that do all of our amazing designs and things like all of our brochures and things. And we've actually really kind of raised the bar in terms of all of the stuff that we do. It looks pretty professional. We've got a PR partner, a social media partner. So we're kind of using those partners to help us amplify our message and to lean on all of their networks as well. So it's always thinking about other things you can do to build out on those networks, you're right, because you can't keep knocking on the same doors to people saying, can I have a raffle prize, please, for Brian Peer or something like that. You've got to keep thinking of who else you can go to because it gets a bit tedious after a while. But saying that, a lot of those that have supported us the last couple of years for our events continue to support us. So they'll become big advocates of Search 7. They get involved. They say, right, Gav, have you got anything else coming up next year? Do you want any raffle tickets or i360 or Malmaze or anyone like that? It's building up their relationships so you actually get to know them quite well. And then with that, it's just going back out to new people you meet, new clients, new partner agencies, new team members. There's always going to be new connections through other people you meet as well.
Awesome. You've done a phenomenal job. It's so impressive.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, cool. Great. So I'm going to introduce our next speaker now, who is called Dan Flanagan. And Dan and I actually work together. We've been working together now for a little while. We've been working on projects and events for or with a company called Always Possible, and also with the Always Possible online community, which is called the Possibility Club, which is open to everyone, so anyone can come along and participate in that. I'll put the link in the chat later on. But back to introducing Dan. Dan is a social entrepreneur, and he is the founder of Dad Le Soul, and they are on a mission to battle the social isolation and loneliness felt by millions of dads across the UK and also I think across the world now every day. So he's going to tell you all about that now. So over to you, Dan.
Wonderful. Thank you, Meg. It's weird listening to your story, Gav, because there's a lot of parallels which I'll come into, especially around PropellerNet. They're good people, aren't they? So yeah, thank you. I'm Dan Flanagan. I'm the founder of an organisation called Top Rocking Beats. We're a community interest company, and Dad Le Soul is one of our projects that was founded about 4 years ago. But what I want to do is not just tell you about what we do. It's more like government. It's about the purpose. It's about the why. So if I can, I did prepare loads of slides because I didn't really know about the format. So don't worry too much about that, Meg. I've got a couple of videos I want to share because I think the videos tell the story a lot better than I potentially can. So I'm
sorry, Dan. Do you want? I can share the screen now if you want me to. I can go ahead and do that.
Yeah, go on. But it was going to be it's that Downing Street moment that you've just told me that it's going to. Next slide, please. Next slide. Okay, so I'll take you back to the beginning. So if we can just go, sorry, Meg, to slide 3. Just going to cut a load of this out. I've over prepared as usual. So yeah, this is the story basically about how I quit my job to start a revolution. If we go into way back about, my background is in PR and digital. I started my career in PR when we used fax machines. I started social media over something called forums and MySpace. And then I sort of progressed up there. I ran a couple of my own agencies. So I was directors of traditional PR agencies, bringing them online with the digital. And it kind of, just after my 40th birthday, really, I was a senior analyst for an international media agency. And on paper, I kind of had it all. I had the nice job, the nice family, a career looking after, some quite swanky clients. But there was something really missing there, and I wasn't sure what it was. But there was one particular moment where I'd just done a pitch to Barclaycard, was one of our largest accounts, and it was about £3 million a year, and we'd been up to Canary Wharf, and I presented to all these stockbroker types, and I came out there, my boss was really buzzing, and I thought, I hate this, I hate these people, I have absolutely nothing in common with them, and something needs to change. And around that time, my dad died, and that had a profound effect on me, and I did what most men do and don't talk about it. I buried it into creating more work and putting it off, and actually became quite ill. And it came to the point where it was breaking point. So I took what was initially going to be like a 3 month sabbatical. I said, I just have to go and do something just to get some breathing space. So around that time, I'd also started blogging. I was commuting up to London quite a lot, and I needed something to kill the time. So I just created my own blog called Don't Believe the Hype, which was my story as a young dad. I'd looked around, and at the time, this was 7-8 years ago, there was loads and loads of mummy bloggers, but there was no sort of dads out there actually telling it how it is or things that I could relate to. Actually, as I sort of quit that job, the blog went a little bit nuts. It ended up being an online magazine, and we got, I think there was 18 different dads from around the country. The idea being that, I'm a certain age, so maybe 20-25 years ago, we were reading Loading and FHM and Melody Maker and stuff like that. That was the voice of our generation. But it completely disappeared just because we've become parents, or dads, our sort of voice has died. Sorry, can we go on to, there we go, the next slide, the next one after that. And I just started writing, and weird things happened when I took the time to breathe. I tried to work out what my next career move would be, because I've got a family to feed. But within 3 weeks of leaving the agency I cross in, I got a contract from a concert promoter that was putting on gigs around Worthing to do their PR. So suddenly I got the chance to interview people like the Fun-Loving Criminals and Ocean Colour Scene. And it was like, I'm now a music journalist. This, as my midlife crisis, that was, kind of cool. And then just by chance, there's a beautiful, I don't know if many of you know Worthing, there's a beautiful art centre called St Paul's in the middle of the town. And I popped in there one day for a coffee. And I just saw this guy in the corner who had a stall up. He was sort of promoting his foster care business, and he looked a bit lonely, and I went to have a chat with him. And he said, I've got this sort of mission. I want to change what foster cares do and how it reacts. And everything he's told me was really resonating. I was like, dude, you really need to meet my wife. She's a social worker. She feels exactly the same way. The system is broken. Then he actually ended up meeting my wife, giving my wife a full-time job, doing exactly what she wanted to. So then the 3 months that I budgeted for to be able to take time off expanded. I could then take more of the childcare and the stress off of her, so I was able to do the school runs and get a lot more involved in my son's upbringing. Through that, the magazine was going well, and we started to get a lot of traction from PR companies. sending us, at the time, really appalling pictures of what dad campaigns, dad dancing and dad fashions and stuff. And it's like, this is nonsense. So I came up with the idea to create the world's first agency of dad. And it was a specialist content agency for brands that wanted to talk directly to dads. I had these team of writers and film producers that were all working, independently. I'd never met half of them. We just had these late night Skype brainstorming sessions about how we were going to change the world. And then the image that you see at the moment, the Batman one, is I got an email from a company called Paladone and said, "Oh, would you like to review this mirror?" I was like, "It's a Batman mirror. There's not much I can actually write. It's very cool, but what are we going to do with it?" I did a little bit of investigation, realised they're one of Europe's largest sort of merchandising organisation, and they're based in Shoreham. So I picked up the phone and said, "Look, you're wasting a load of money contacting people like me for a blog review. Can I come and talk to you?" I did, and I talked them into actually having a concept where I went in there as a 3-month, it was 4-month, and I came the idea of a dad's play date. So this is where we would invite journalists down to Worthing on a Willy Wonka secret trip. So we sent out these gold tickets. They could come down. We hired out the big yellow bus company, picked them all up. We tied out the Dome Cinema, showed loads of old-fashioned movies, and we went back to the organisation's headquarters, beautiful mint place. And we unboxed 400 products, and we just let the dads and kids go absolutely nuts. But that created so much press and attention. So, there is there's something here. So we progressed. We were working with Disney, we worked with Marvel, BMW, and that's all going great. But I was still kind of bored, and I was still quite lonely doing the school run. You realise that there isn't a great deal of dads that are able to do that. And then going to mother and baby groups, there's sort of the questions are, what are you doing here on a Monday morning, or are you here to have an affair? Or the worst one that I think one of our members had was his question about, is he a paedophile because he wanted to sit on the floor and play with kids? And I thought, there's got to be something more to that. And then through the work that I'd done at this concert promoters, where I was hitting the dance floor, I was seeing loads of people from the school run, thinking Worthing has this generation of people that have moved here from Brighton and London and all over, but they have no social life. So I thought, right, I'm lonely, I want to make some friends, I want to start throwing a party. So I came up with the concept of Top Rocking Beats, which is an afternoon rave. So I got hold of some DJ mates and brought in some soft play equipment, jugglers, and we just had a massive rave in the afternoon. The fact that the kids can go nuts, the parents can listen to great music, but everybody's home by bath and bedtime. The first event we had was 450 people on a Sunday afternoon, which was nuts because I felt like a 13-year-old waiting for people to turn up at my birthday party. And I opened up the door and they're queuing around the block. But from there, it kind of, again, went nuts. People wanted this more. And around this time, I went to the Happy Startup summer camp. So this is a community of purpose-driven entrepreneurs. I went to that and I learned about the power of community. And I'm thinking, right, if I can get like 400 or 500 people at these events, what else can I do with them? And also, who else had this problem? So we started doing toy drives for victims of domestic abuse, or food drives, thinking that if everybody comes to the rave and brings a tin of beans, suddenly I've got 500 tins of beans to actually play with. So rather than sort of, we were on, Meg, can you just show the first video, which I think is on slide 7? This was our New Year's Eve event. The first one we did where we created history, and we were the first place in the UK to, sorry, it's the next one. Yeah. Can you hear that?
Meg, I think you might need to come off mute. At 6 o'clock this evening in the towns of... Now, more than 1,000 people have welcomed in the new year early at a family-friendly rave in Worthing. Midnight struck at 6 o'clock this evening in the town's assembly hall. The party was organised by a dad who says it's hard for parents to celebrate with kids in tow. All ages could party, including a 97-year-old Vera Chalmers, who was the oldest guest, who had a go at DJing. Good for her. Well, let's find out how the weather is looking for our new year. Here's Peter.
And that was remarkable, because it took from 8 weeks from conception to delivery. And that lovely lady Vera was another person that I'd met quite by chance. So this is a story about if you break out of the office and you have random conversations with people. You know, I was in St Paul's again having a meeting with somebody. Vera just sat herself beside me and just started chatting. And then like 3 hours later, we're still talking. She's 97 and she'd outlived all her family and friends, but she went out every day and did something. And I was like, right, well, what are you doing New Year's Eve? She said, well, nothing. I said, do you fancy coming raving? She's like, yeah, absolutely. So we got her up on stage and she DJ'd and she dropped We'll Meet Again to 1,000 people singing back to her. So she became the world's oldest ever DJ. It was, yeah, it was anyway, so much fun. But from there, we kind of went, somebody said, this is the most franchisable idea that I've seen in years. And I started doing more events. We did them at the Pavilion or the Town of Art Gallery in over in Eastbourne. We took over this beautiful Art Deco museum and just put these wonderful parties on. But what I realised was the same issues that we had as young parents, that, you know, we didn't really have a social life and couldn't go out, were the same as people like Vera or adults with learning difficulties. So we did a partnership with Guildcare, which is a local dementia charity, and the wonderful guys at Stay Up Late in Brighton, which offer social life to adults with learning difficulties. The idea is we bring everybody together, have this massive rave, so the kids can grow up and, you know, you've got a toddler next to a mum, next to somebody in their 80s, next to somebody with Downs, and there's absolutely no difference to this. So yeah, imagine Top Rocking's going really well, apart from things like we're investing thousands of pounds into an event to launch in Lewes, and then Brighton Football Club decided to get promoted to the Premiership and have their victory parade on the same day. That absolutely killed my event. So we've gone, you know, having these events is all going well. There's and through actually going back to Happy Startup, I met a guy called Jack, who's one of the founders of PropellerNet. And we got on really, really well. And he invited me out to Switzerland, where he lived, for a sort of creative week up in the Alps with 6 other sort of entrepreneurs. And that absolutely changed my life, because the people that Gavin will know really well, that if you get in Jack's company, he's just addictive. He just sees things that other people don't. So I'm telling him all these plans, and I want to set up a magazine and a fashion brand and do this, but I'm awful at business. I'm dyslexic. My sums are appalling. I said, I need somebody that's really good at spreadsheet. He goes, well, you want to meet Jim, my business partner. Jim's an expert at spreadsheets. He loves detail, and he'll really like you. So I went into the PropellerNet offices with a scrap of paper, sat and just sketched out, said, I want to do this, 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 and this. He said, I've never seen anything like him, love. Do you want a hand? So he became my business partner and sort of confidant and mentor. But I said, actually, I don't want to do it for money. There's got to be something more here. So we became a community interest company, which means we do earn money, but the money goes back straight into the community, doing more and more events. So just thinking, Meg, if you could, on slide 10, there's another little video. Jim actually gave me the PropellerNet offices to do the pilot of something I've been scratching around. You know, everything's going really well, but I'm still on the school runs on my own. I'm going into soft play on a Saturday, and I'm just seeing loads and loads of dads just on their phone. Nobody's talking. It's bloody lonely. It's kind of embarrassing as a middle-aged man to stick your hand up and go, you know what, I'd actually like some friends. As we get older, our social groups get smaller. It means that the a lot of the friends are the people that your wife or partner has met on the school run, and it doesn't actually mean that you've got friendships. So one Saturday, about I think it was 4 years ago, I took over the Propeller offices and invited a load of strangers and went nuts.
No coffee near children. Take a coffee. It's very nice. Hello. Yeah.
So that was our thing. So I just took the decks I had from the putting on the raves. I put the soft play equipment in there. Oh, and just got dads to have a conversation. What was wonderful is there's all these strangers there, and nobody was on their mobile phones. They were just having conversation. Again, we're onto something. So this next slide, you can show how we've grown. This was an event that we did. We took over a platform in Brighton, which is this huge, very funky co-working space. So traditionally, if you've got the sort of mother and baby groups or dad groups, if they hardly exist, they're in the library or they're in a church hall drinking weak orange squash and with second-hand play equipment. I thought, sod that, not happening. So we took over a platform, and that's about just under 90 people. So now we've got 7 different groups around Sussex and the southeast. It's grown mentally. There's a lovely board of directors. We do everything from robot making with recycled material. We do 3D sessions, 3D printers. We've had stand-up comedians come in. We've done rap battles. And the idea is that rather than the kids go and play and the dads just sit there, we have activities that the dads are driven and dads can contribute to. So I think everybody's got a skill. It would be if you're an engineer, you're really good at Lego. Or we had one guy that was an accountant. He said, I've got nothing really to offer. But I found out 20 years previously, he used to be a notorious graffiti artist. I was like, right, I know what we're doing next Saturday. Bang. And it's kind of grown. But what I realised that through all this fun and laughter, there's some real, significant stats. There's 96 men under the age of 45 in this country being lost to suicide. Through our own research, we've said that, there's 73% of the members admitted to being lonely or being isolated. And you look at these dads, the fact that within 1 week, most of these dads could be gone. There's some very sobering facts. So what we do is, rather than saying, hello, middle-aged men, come over here and talk about your problems, go, nah, I'm absolutely fine with that. Go, well, come over here and have a rap battle, fix some toys. We're going to watch Thundercats and we're going to listen to some Beastie Boys and you're going to meet some pals. Yeah. So we've grown. I think we've got about 2,000 members. We've got a contract with a social housing provider called Clarion. So we go into a social housing association. Pre-COVID, we were just about to do a hook up with Brighton Football Club and start putting on events there. And it's, I think the change for me was through all this fun and laughter. There's some real serious issues that just don't get highlighted, and this is our cause. It's social isolation. So on paper you could have a very good job, you could be happily married, stuff like that, but if you've got nobody to actually talk to and to put your hand up, you know what, I'm really, really struggling. It has some dire effects, not just on you but on your ability. Children, as grown-ups, we kind of forget how to play. You need to be talked to. It's okay to get on the floor and dress up as a fairy and have a tea party. That's absolutely okay. From there, the growth. And then I think it was about just over a year ago now, the Huff Post came down and did a documentary about us, and it went nuts. I'm getting emails from Canada, Australia, Germany going, this doesn't exist. We need more of this. So we've got this plan, say from the HuffPost, we then got features in The Guardian. I've been on the World Service, ITV, the Metro. There is this generation of men that have essentially been ignored. And it's now for the dads to actually take control of the situation. So we're not a babysitter, because I don't know if many of you take your kids out on a Saturday and go, oh, you're a good boy for giving mum a rest, and don't know how that, well, I'm an active parent. So we need to battle against these, horrible stereotypes. Again, everything goes well, then lockdown happens. How the hell do we help people with bringing them together when we can't do our events? So we took it onto Zoom and started doing play dates with that. Strangely enough, I was in some kind of networking event on the first couple of days of lockdown, and I had a conversation with this lady in Germany, and she said, oh, you need to speak to somebody I know in the States. He'll really like what you're doing. So I set up this chat with this guy from an organisation called Daddy Saturday in the Deep South. Got on fabulously well. And he goes, oh, you need to speak to my mate Kenny that works in Atlanta. So with this group call, and then Father's Day, we did this international play date. So we had dads from the States, Germany, Kenya, all coming to date to have this sort of online play date. It was wonderful. And it doesn't take away the beauty you can have just getting a load of fellas in a room and mucking around for a couple of hours on a Saturday afternoon. But it shows the power of the community. So I've got, I think, one last video. Today we've relaunched. We've got a brand new website and a new brand that we've kindly got some funding for. But I think this last video sort of hopefully sums up exactly what we do, and more importantly, the why.
We walked the lonely road, so far from home. All we've come to know is a weary search for hope. All my pride is gone with the truth that I was shown.
Dad the Soul is a group that I set up. The idea is every month we have a different theme, and it's the dads contributing. So I think, if you're a dad that's an engineer, you're going to be really good at Lego. Come in and teach those skills. It's so much fun. Wouldn't it be nice if I created something, a safe space for the dads to get together? Because if you go to mother and baby groups, you are kind of on the outside. But wouldn't it be nice if, we barred the mums and it's just the dads?
Dadless Soul is an event that was set up by dads for dads, so they can spend quality time with their kids and tackle the social isolation that comes with being a parent.
Dads are really good at being able to say they're doing fine when perhaps inside they're not. And what we're doing here is nurturing a safe space for dads to be able to make themselves vulnerable and share those frank experiences and feelings.
When the dad's got the kids, if the wife or the partner's working on a Saturday or a Sunday, what do? Again, they're back to the traditional soft play, sat there on your own while the kids play. What we do is we get the kids and the dads to interact and play together and learn new things they can take home with them.
Charlotte Wilkins, ITV News, Storrington.
Dads gathering on Worthing Beach with their children.
There you go, I'll send it up for you.
Today the activity is a silent disco combined with a beach clean, a chance for fathers to socialise and enjoy time with their little ones.
I'm a new dad, he's only just turned 1.
I work up in London, it usually means at least 12 to 14 hours a day away from the house during the week.
It can be a little bit isolating doing parenting on your own a lot of the time. So I've always found when we get together, it's just brilliant.
So
sometimes you just feel like, oh, I never get to see him. I'm always spending time with someone else. I really want to get to know him more, even though he's already my father.
John Hunt, BBC South East Today in Worthing.
So far from home. All we've come to know is a weary search for hope. All my pride is gone with the truth that I was shown. Though in time will grow, we'll still be alone.
So yeah, that's kind of Dad as well. The future is well, this year we were meant to put on the world's first festival of fatherhood. So we booked out this wonderful event for 500 dads and kids to go wonderfully nuts in the woods with DJs and filmmaking, graffiti artists, story time down by the lake. Obviously, COVID put an end to that. But we are going to continue. The idea is that I think, even if it's, Dad's got a couple of hours or he's got a fiver, stick it into the pot. We build a dad's army. And we want to build something. My dream is to make this, a national organisation, if not international, because it doesn't matter if you're a dad in Kenya or in Glasgow. We're all going through exactly the same issues, but we don't have a place. We don't have a voice. So this is what Dad the Soul does through our magazine. We're launching a fashion line. We do more events. We're doing dads only events. So I'm going to start a dads only youth club. So we chuck the kids and the wives away, and every couple of weeks we put on dads only events. We do breakout sessions for dads with children with additional needs, because it's hard enough going to soft play as a dad. But if your child's autistic, it's got sensory needs, that's a no-no. So we took all the equipment and we do softer sessions. So thank you for listening.
Wow, Dan, thank you for that. Wow, what a journey. And I think some of what I got from that is that I think the future for Dad the Soul and all that you do is going to kind of evolve and grow alongside your kids as well. Because you mentioned establishing a fashion line, and also you mentioned a youth group. So obviously
there's a youth group. There's groups for dads. We realise that not all dads are the same. So you've got dads that are newborns. They haven't got a clue. So I remember, feeling really crap when my child would cry in the middle of the night, but would only want mum. But I had nowhere to actually stick when I go, how do I handle this? But if, again, we don't have these conversations normally, we have to do it in an environment where the fellas feel safe, because they're not used to opening up. But we've had some, fantastic, guys have come up with their sort of substance abuse issues or domestic violence or gambling or child abuse. And we're not experts, we're just a group of fellas that have got together to see that actually this is the problem and it needs to change. So you go and meet him, or there's a lot to be done. We say we're basically, there are no employees. It's completely voluntary run. So I'm very, very fortunate that for me sticking my hand up and going, I'd actually like some friends. There's several other thousand people who feel exactly the same way.
Fantastic. Does anyone have any questions for Dan?
I was going to ask a question earlier about the age range of the kids, and I think Meg asked that because I'm a new dad in lockdown and she's only 6 months, so it's good to know that there's potentially a place where I can kind of reach out to people and have a chat, because in the evenings it's just me sitting on the sofa catching up on work, so it is quite lonely.
We've got there's an online community that we have dads from newborns right the way up to maybe 10. After that, the kids don't really want to hang out. It gets a bit niche. But we've done some brilliant stuff with Audio Active at Rag and Bone Man's charity, where they got them in and we showed everybody how to beat make, all the 3D printing, and we're trying to do activities that are, different stages. So if you've got a little one, they can roll around and blow bubbles, that's fine. But also if you've got a 4-year-old, they've got some activities there.
Yeah,
and if you've got somebody that's a teenager, go and rap or do something that's a bit cool. But I'm a middle-aged man, so why would I know that I'm cool? So
brilliant. That sounds. My question for you. You mentioned Jim earlier, and Jack from Propellernet, good friends of mine. And Jim's actually a bit of a mentor to me, so it's great that he's even got that kind of synergy there. But Jack always said to me that when I go into a meeting, be like Jack, because he's kind of that fun, creative person, all about humour. So that's kind of my inspiration. But my question for you is, where do you get your inspiration from, and what kind of people have you been inspired by?
If I'm honest, my dad, because my dad brought me and my sisters up single-handedly, and in the 70s and 80s there were no support networks there. There were single-parent support networks, but they were mainly for women that wore dungarees and voted CND, which is wonderful. But my dad ran his own business, and it just there weren't play dates. The idea of their play dates were maybe having a side room in the pub. They'd stick on Star Wars and feed us all Coke and crisps and let us get on with it. So it's from a purpose point of view, it's almost, I saw the struggles firsthand, so it's my payback. Now I've got something I can do. So like you're saying, it's that personal perspective. But I think we've got some wonderful dads within our communities. We've got single dads. We've got the friendships of it. We've got millionaires being making friends with dads with benefits. We've got coppers that are now friends with ex-cons. And there is a level playing field right the way through. And that is, I want to go there and talk about the Stone Roses being the best band ever, and put my hand up and going, my situation at home is probably not the best. And from a personal perspective, actually, I'm separated. So I didn't know how to handle that. And then suddenly, through our online community, I've got several hundred brothers pulling me out of some very, very dark times and showing me, okay, you need to do this, you need to do that, and more to point, we're going to come and get you now. I'm going to take you out for a brew. And it doesn't matter if you brew your heart out, it doesn't matter if you want to laugh, it doesn't matter if you want to smack us. We're there. So rather than me bottling it up, there's a support network. And I think we need, as men, we really need that. We don't ask for it, but we absolutely deserve it.
Hiya, Dan. Incredible. Really, really amazing. I just wondered, how do you reach the guys that don't actually know that they need this group and that they need these conversations? There's some guys out there that would, be shut down about it all, perhaps just hoping things will get better, think it doesn't apply to them, whatever the reason. How are you actually, targeting them?
It's through the films, through the magazine, it's through the humour and the events. As I said earlier, if I started a support network and said, come into the evenings, we're going to sit in a church hall, sit in a circle and talk about our feelings. They go, nah. Right, do you want to come and, I've got a set of Technics here. Do you want to bring your 12 inches out and we'll have a scratch battle? And they go, yes. Or do you want to learn about 3D printing? Yeah. Or we've got one of our dads, Aidan, is a quite well-known stand-up comedian. He came in and did a joke competition. So I was like, okay. You're not doing anything this week, do you want to come and just hang out and watch a stand-up comedy show? Well, yeah, I do. And through that, we break down these barriers, and what they all see is other people opening up. So it's almost like a ticket. So if I say to you that I'm a human being and I'm struggling, you can, well, okay, I want to help you. That's a human need. And they'll be able to also open up stuff, that some of the stuff I've heard is heartbreakingly tragic. But on the face of it, if you met these fellas, you wouldn't have a clue what was actually going on.
So you're also relying on them telling their friends, and the word.
It is a word of mouth. You'd bring, it's a sense of community. There's a purpose there. Yeah. Penelope.
Yep. Hello. I'm also massively impressed. I've got two questions for you. One is a quick one. Do you have a branch in Seaford? I know somebody who could do with help.
No, we don't. We have got there's an online community, so we've got a public Facebook group, but we've also got a dads only private group that I can share links and send them there. The idea is that, we're very fortunate to get some funding, especially over COVID. But as a non-profit one, our money comes from events. If we can't put events on, we can't generate funds. Until we start doing more brand partnerships. The idea is that we'll go to Lego and create content strategies for them, and they will pay us, and then we can put on more groups for dads on low incomes. That's part of the ongoing business model.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind and pass that on. And the other thing was, I think you partially mentioned it, about your chap who comes who doesn't have a child with him anymore. Do you do one for dads who don't have access to the children?
Yes, we've got. It's kind of difficult because from a safeguarding point of view, it's always to come to the events. You have to have a child, because obviously, if you say there's a memo,
I meant a separate one.
No. But this is where the dads only events will come in. So these we're going to run in the evenings. So we'll have the traditional, DJ battles and stand-up comedy and pool and stuff like that. So they can come on rather than going down the pub or five-a-side. I don't drink and I don't play football, so I'm kind of limited on that. So the answer is yes, but they are still work in progress.
Thank you.
I think we're starting to run out of time, so we're probably going to wrap up now. And don't forget, if you want to keep up to date with what's going on with Worthing Digital, it's all on the Meetup, but there's also a Slack group as well, which you can join too. I don't know, Mark, if you wanted to say more about that.
Yeah, well, the easiest way to find us is go to worthingdigital.com, and all the details for Slack and everything else are on there. This meeting, like most of the online ones we've had, will be on YouTube in due course, and James, who does all our videos, has just messaged me to say that the stuff that we did for Get Online Week is online on YouTube now, so it's worth checking those out as well. That's it.
Cool.
Thank you very much.
Great.
Gavin and Dan, that's brilliant. Thanks very much, both of you.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. Yeah, great. All right, good to see everyone, and I hope you come back and join us again for another one. Take care, everyone. Thanks.
Lovely. Cheers, guys. Bye.